there's one thing about modern day gaming that I really, really like, it's the controllers, especially the fact that they're wireless, which is really, really awesome. It gives you a freedom of movement. You're not sort of tethered to a console. There's no danger of you pulling the controller too far and the console falling off a shelf and getting damaged or anything like that. Obviously, we've got the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One controllers here. There have been countless others. Another example of a wireless controller. Here's the Wavebird controller from Nintendo for the GameCube. I'm not a big fan of the GameCube controller at all, but you know, it's nice to have this one being wireless, although it's a little bit bulky because of the battery cover for the AA batteries that it uses. Likewise, here is the Sega Mega Drive infrared controller. There's two of these that I've got in a pack. And just a quick amendment to a video. I did a video of things that aren't good, things that are bad, and I mentioned that these were bad because they were playing up and not working very well. This is a quick update. They work fine now for some reason. I'm not sure whether it was the batteries that I was using or, well, I'm really still scratching my head wondering why, but these work perfectly now. And I use these all the time. Every time I play the Mega Drive, I use these controllers and they work really well. And again, it's nice not to have a cable. There's also some Sega Saturn infrared controllers as well, some wireless controllers for the Saturn. And I do intend on picking those up, but just like these Mega Drive infrared controllers, they are rare and expensive to pick up. So, but yeah, it's really nice. And one thing that I really, really would love to have is, you know, wireless controllers for all of my systems. On other videos, you've seen that I've got the 8-bit DOE controllers for the NES and the Super NES with the retro receivers that plug into the consoles, and they work really, really well as well. And I like the fact that they're wireless. So, yeah, it leaves us with N64 and PlayStation, really, and of course Atari, because I don't have any wireless controllers for the Atari 2600. I've got a wireless controller for the original Xbox, which is a Logitech branded wireless controller, which, you know, is not bad. The build quality could be a little bit better, but it's good to use with the Xbox. And you may have noticed that we've got these two DualShock looking controllers at the back here, and that is the point of this video. So the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 are a couple of machines where I don't actually have any wireless controllers, or at least I didn't until I picked up these. I bought both of these here. You've got a lovely translucent blue controller here that's modelled very much on the DualShock 2. You can see that. And you've also got this black one as well, which I picked up because it looks a lot more like a DualShock due to the colour. You've also got these receivers. These actually plug into the controller ports on the front of the PlayStation 2. On this one, you can probably just about make out, or maybe not because the light. You've got the power and the receiver light, basically, which shows that the receiver's plugged in and also that it's connected to the controller. And these also work with the original PlayStation, but I've got a memory card that's got more than one, if you like, memory storage built into it. So it's got more than one page, more than one chip, I suppose you could say. And you use a button combination on the main menu to cycle through the pages. And for whatever reason, if I plug this into the PlayStation and try and use that memory card doesn't show up. So I wonder if these receivers are actually drawing too much current from the controller port memory card sort of combination, and that's why the memory card doesn't show up, but these work. So yeah, it all sounds pretty good. There's just one problem. These controllers have exactly the same flaw. To start off with, they look okay, and they actually feel okay. I've got to be honest, they don't feel too cheap and nasty. The buttons feel nice to press. And they, as I say, they work really, really well. There's a little on and off switch there to actually turn the controller on. And then, of course, when it finds the receiver, that will go solid. And, of course, you've got an analog button as well to switch between analog and non-analog modes. So what's the problem with these two, then? Well, I've also got the DualShock 2, that fake PlayStation 2 controller that I talked about and showed you previously, and that it does work. It's got a ridiculously short cable, and to be honest, the build quality is a lot worse than these. It feels really, really cheap and nasty compared to these that feel pretty good. Now, the problem with the DualShock, and the same problem that these two have got, is the analog sticks have got a lot of what is known as dead zone on them. So what I mean by that is you actually have to press the analog stick or move the analog stick quite some way before it starts registering movement in a game. And in some games, in particular like racing games that use analog steering, like Gran Turismo 2 or Gran Turismo 3, if I'm talking PlayStation 2, this is a nightmare because it makes sort of more, what's the word I'm looking for, accurate steering, more, yeah, it just becomes more difficult to control the car. The car will snap around and the steering's not as predictable as you'd expect it to be because of the awful dead zone of these controllers. I actually bought this one first, noticed the dead zone, and obviously stopped using it. It was a bit of a shame. and then left it some time, and then picked up this one from a completely different seller because these look slightly different. The design of them is a little bit different. And yeah, probably shouldn't have surprised me, and I probably wasted my time and my money again. This one's got exactly the same problem as that one, and there's an awful lot of dead zone, which is a big shame, guys, because if there's one thing I'd really love to have, it's wireless PlayStation controllers for the original PlayStation and the PlayStation 2, because it's nice to have wireless controllers and to have the freedom of movement. So if you see these and you're like me, you're a retro gamer, a retro collector, and you like playing games on the classic systems and on the real hardware, if you can put up with the fact that these analog sticks are not very good, there's a lot of dead zone, it's very difficult when you need precise control, that was the words I was looking for earlier, then yeah, forget about these things unless you can put up with the fact that you've got that horrible dead zone and they don't work as well as an original DualShock 2. I did some testing with Gran Turismo 3. An original DualShock 2 responds very quickly after you start to move either direction, whereas these, as I said, you have to go quite some way in a direction with the stick before any movement's registered, which for me, it just doesn't work, especially with games like Gran Turismo or any driving racing games that require precise movement. I can imagine these being a bit of a nightmare on a first-person shoot-'em-up like Killzone. The original Killzone would have been a nightmare, or a Call of Duty game on the PS2 might have been a bit of a nightmare, or Medal of Honor when trying to use these sticks. So it's a big shame, it's a missed opportunity. I am aware that there are other PlayStation 2 wireless solutions that look pretty good. I think Mad Catz made a wireless controller for the PS2, so I may pick that up in future. But yeah, guys, if you see these, unless you can put up with the fact the movement is very imprecise and yeah, there's lots of dead zone, don't buy them. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.